Tell me if it's looking good. What do you think? Um, I decided only to paint this one wall. After all, there's more wall over there I could have painted, but in all honesty, I didn't need to. There's really no point to, just because this is the backdrop and all that's just going to be extra. So I did want to get some new curtains eventually. I have curtains there. Well, I don't have curtains there. I have a window there. I'm gonna get some. I already ordered them. I have some dark gray curtains coming on the way, so that's coming soon. And then everything will look pretty complete, I think. I added just a light there for a little bit of pop, just to separate the background, me from the background just a little bit. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Let me know what you think. So today I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of being a YouTuber over 40. And the reason I wanted to talk about this, one, there are several videos. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but there's several videos now online on YouTube talking about this topic of being a YouTuber over 40, and a lot of them are getting some traction. In fact, some channels have been completely built up on this idea, this whole over 40 YouTuber thing. And not that I want to make my whole channel about that. I think that there's benefit in just talking about being an average guy, and that's the kind of angle that I'm going with this and all that. But just in terms of being over 40, there's definitely some perks of being over 40 and starting a YouTube channel, or even having a more established channel and going from there. One of the perks of being over 40, one of the pros of being over 40 and starting a YouTube channel is that you have more wisdom. You have more life experiences. And these kinds of things can really help people to see not just, people's ideas and aspirations and goals, but, over the course of our 40 years of life, what has worked in terms of the things that, have brought us to this point, because some people in their 40s are still majorly struggling, trying to figure out life. So if you're at least stable in your 40s, then that there's something to be said there. And if you've gotten to the point in your 40s that you have some knowledge that you can share with other people, then there's a great benefit there as well. So just life experiences, having wisdom in your 40s to be able to share with other people can be a huge reason to start a YouTube channel. And not to say that people under 40 don't have wisdom. Of course, there's a lot of wisdom there too. In fact, there's a lot of people who are under 40, even in their 20s, oftentimes, who have really awesome life experiences, whether they grew up in a different culture, or whether they, hit it big in their first job and really can share some of their experiences there in terms of, what made it so that they can excel in that very first job of theirs, or even just, building up to that point, whether their life experiences as a teenager. Some of them have even, I don't know if you've seen a few channels, but I've seen a few channels where I think they're being truthful anyway, that even in their teenage years have really built up a following and built up a job on YouTube or otherwise. And seeing these kinds of channels is really encouraging. And I hope that being, hold on a second, I got a phone call here. I might have to decline that. Being on YouTube. So being on YouTube means that we can share these kinds of experiences, whether you're young or whether you're old. And being over 40 means that you have more life experiences that you can share. So that's a huge pro of being over 40 and having a YouTube channel. Another one is simply, it doesn't matter. I mean, how do I say it? It doesn't matter quite as much whether we excel at YouTube. So we can just have fun with it. Like usually if you're in your 40s and you're doing well in life, or well enough in life, at this point you have an established career. YouTube, while it could be a great hobby, maybe even something you want to pursue as a career, if you're smart about it, if you don't quit your day job right away, then you can just have fun. And oftentimes it's that fun-loving attitude. It's that I'm willing to experiment. I'm willing to take risks with this. That oftentimes is what people want to see. Like it's as somebody who has an income outside of YouTube, and we're a dual income family. My wife also has an income. My wife's a nurse, and she makes a good income from her job too. Means that I don't have to have, this doesn't have to work. I'm not putting all of my eggs in this basket, and I'm not going to get bent out of shape if my next video doesn't skyrocket. It's just something fun that I'm doing. And yeah, I'd love to see it take off. I'd love to see it, do so well that I could make this even my primary source of income, but it doesn't have to. Like, it doesn't have to be something that you don't want it to be, or it doesn't have to be something that like you just have to make it work kind of thing. No, being over 40 means that I already have an established career. I already have income from other sources and things, and YouTube is just fun. Not to say that I don't want it to work out. I would love to see it work out, but being over 40 and being a YouTuber simply means, yeah, it's fun, and I'm enjoying doing it, that kind of thing. So that's a huge perk as well. So there's two huge pros there. One, being over 40 means that you have some life experiences, you have some wisdom that other people can learn from, and being over 40 means that two, you probably have an established career that you're already making some income. So YouTube doesn't have to replace that, or it doesn't have to be something other than you want it to be. Maybe put it that way. So those are two huge perks. But at the same time, there are also some cons. There's some downsides to being over 40 and trying to start a YouTube channel. One con is that time is working against you at this point. So being that we are older, we have less time in our lives, in all honesty, to build an established following. It can take years upon years to build a following on YouTube. The people who build a following in a year or even 5 years to the point of 100,000 or 1 million subscribers, that's really the exception. That does not happen all that often. So to think that, if I'm 43 years old right now, to think that I can start a YouTube channel, which I did in the last couple of years, this one, and I had some other ones before this, but just to think that I can start a YouTube channel and see it grow to the point of 100,000 or even 1 million subscribers by the time I retire in the next, 20, 25 years, that's going to take a lot of work. Whereas if you're 20 years old and you start this process, then you have more time. You have an extra 20 years. Or if you're even younger than that, if you're 15 years old and start this process, time is on your side at that time. But as somebody who's over 40, time's kind of working against us at this point, right? So that's a thing. To think that I have less time to make this work. Now, going back to the pro though, I don't have to make it work, right? It doesn't matter to me quite as much whether this excels to that point. I would love to see that. I would love to get it to that point, but at the same time, it doesn't have to. It's just something fun that I can do, right? So being over 40 means that it's a pro that you have, the flexibility to say I'm going to take risks and have fun with it, but it's also a con to say, well, I have less time to see it really grow and excel to that degree. So that's a pro and a con of being over 40. There's another con though, and that's simply that I am older, which means that I move a little slower. I don't have quite as much energy as maybe somebody who's a lot younger than me. So people who are in their 20s or even teens or even somewhat in their 30s, they have this metabolism about them, right? They have this drive about them that says I can attack the world and I'm going to overcome, I'm going to conquer, right? Whereas over 40, that's kind of tempered a little bit at this point. Like we've had some life experiences that say, sometimes life doesn't always work out the way that we want. Sometimes life is less of a charge forward and make it happen kind of thing. And life is more of a, let's take things a little bit slower and see what happens kind of thing. So while wisdom is a good thing when it comes to having the wisdom that people might want to extract from you, and starting a YouTube channel is good for that, wisdom can also kind of work against us when we're over 40 because we know that things don't always go the way that we want. And as we present this information, we want to present it in a way that's realistic, that's not getting people's hopes out of kink. What's the word there? I don't even know. We don't want to give people false hope. So there is a huge element of we don't know what's going to happen when it comes to YouTube. We don't know if your channel is going to take off. We don't know if my channel is going to take off. We don't know how many views we're going to get when we post the next video. we don't even know if YouTube itself as a platform is even going to be a platform in the next 5, 10 years. We don't know these things. I mean, it doesn't seem like YouTube's going away. It's been here since 2005. Of course, it's changed a little bit over the years. It is the #2 search engine on the planet, second only to its parent company, Google, right? So it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. And yet, I mean, the internet is still really, really young. It seems kind of weird to say because it's well established at this point, but it's only been around for about 40 years or so. Less than that, honestly. 30 years. 30 years ago, this year is when I first got online. I was like 12, 13 years old, and I got online for the first time and thought, wow, this is going to change the world. And it has, right? The internet has majorly changed all kinds of things. Communication, commerce, e-commerce, even transportation, because of the way that we book things nowadays, massively changed the world. And yet 30 years in the scope of history, that's nothing, right? So it's still very much in its infancy. So the internet can vastly change, majorly change. That's the word I was going for. Majorly change in the years to come. So we don't know what's going to happen there, right? So being over 40, and not to say that these aren't ideas that younger people can have. Obviously, these are ideas that we can have. But and yet, being over 40, we've lived more life, and therefore we've seen how fast things can change, how things can just be excelling, 1 minute and then collapse the next. I mean, we've seen kingdoms, empires do that throughout history as well, right? So how can we possibly think the internet can't also have that kind of thing going on? Certainly it could. So being over 40 has certain pros to it: the wisdom, the ability to take risks that maybe the younger people can't take. It's interesting though, because a lot of times we look at young people and think, oh, they're the risk takers, but really it's the older people who have the ability to take certain risks, especially financially. Young people oftentimes don't have the finances to take risks, whereas older people do. So that's a huge pro as well. The pro of being able to say, I have the capital, I have the money, and even if it doesn't work out, who cares? I got the money to throw towards this endeavor to see if it works. And that's kind of the position I'm in right now in terms of being over 40 and starting this YouTube channel. Have I put a lot of money into this? No, I haven't put a lot of money into it, but I have put some into it. I've hired a YouTube editor here and there. I've hired people to do thumbnails from time to time. I've put money into like music subscription services. I've put money into sometimes lighting and paints and kinds of things. Just sometimes simple things, but things that oftentimes younger people can't afford, even a can of paint. For somebody who's over 40 who has an established job, who can afford just minor things like that, it's no big deal. So being over 40 certainly has its perks, certainly has its downsides as well. We have less energy. We have less time overall thinking forward in terms of our lives. We have less time to make it work. And yet we also have the flexibility to say, who cares? Whether it works or not, it doesn't matter. I'm enjoying doing it. And that's a huge perk right there as well. I also want to show this morning just how I go about filming my short videos. Every morning I do a short, and I just simply update how much money I made yesterday, and talk about how much money I've made overall through my challenge. I have this challenge right now that I want to make $100,000 online only using things like Amazon and YouTube. And I'm posting about it every day until I do. I'm posting a short video every single day until I reach that goal of $100,000. Let me know. Do you think that's even possible? That's something that I've been working towards. So here's what I do. Every morning, I'll go through my accounts, my Amazon and 3 monetized YouTube channels, and I'll simply write down, actually I take screenshots of them, of how much I made the day before, and I'll write them down. And I'll write them down just on a simple post-it like this. So you can see I have here at the top, it says day, total, average, day, and how much I made that day. And then from that, then I will just simply have this little cheat sheet by me when I go through this process right here. And it's really simple. I do edit it a little bit oftentimes. Sometimes I'll do it in one take, but usually I'll edit just a little bit. So it's simple. I'll show you exactly what I do every day. So here's what I do. I'll just hit record real quick. hey, I'm just an average guy trying to make $100,000 in a year using things like Amazon and YouTube, and I'm posting about it every day until I do. Um, Yesterday on Amazon, I made $49.50. Um, that means over the so once again, I do edit it a little bit. That means over the course of my 87 days of this challenge, I've made $6,782.52. That's an average per day of $77.96. So just under the average of, so I'm just under what I've been averaging, but that's okay. Still got a lot of time left. We can certainly make this happen. Like and subscribe to follow my journey. And if I can do it, you can do it too. I'm just an average guy. Sorry, hit stop. And that's it. That's how I film my daily short. Like I said, I do need to edit it just a little bit. I'll edit out the pauses. I'll edit it in the screenshots that I took of my daily averages. But pretty simple. I don't want to spend too much time doing it just because in order to do something like that every single day, it's got to be simple. It's got to be quick. It's got to be worked into your routine so easily that you can stick to it for a long period of time. Because I've done challenges like this in the past, and sometimes it gets out of hand how much editing or how many things you put on it. So many people have commented on these shorts and said, well, if you did it like this, then maybe it'll take off. And certainly, I want them to take off, and I take these kinds of criticisms or not, comments to heart. Because I certainly, if something's easy enough to incorporate into my daily short video there, then certainly I want to do that. But once again, it goes back to this idea of I'm over 40, right? It doesn't matter to me so much whether it takes off. It's just something that I want to do. It's something fun. And as soon as it becomes less fun or more work than it's worth doing every day, then it's not going to be sustainable long term. And for something like this, since it is a 1-year challenge, maybe even more than a year, depending on if I hit the $100,000 or not, then it's got to be something that I reasonably can do every day. And it can't take up like 8 hours a day. It can't even honestly take up an hour a day, because that's 1/24 of my day, all day, every single day. So it means 1/24 of my year. Then at that point, can't do that if it's taking an hour a day. So as you saw, it takes me literally about a minute to film every day. And then it does take me about 5 minutes or less to edit every day. I have like a certain template that I'll just delete the old footage, drag the new footage in, update the numbers, and then export it. So it's pretty simple. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. So it exports, and then I upload it to YouTube and TikTok, and then that's it. So probably less than 20 minutes a day, maybe around that. Even saying that out loud, I mean, honestly, 20 minutes that's a third of an hour. So that's 1/75th-ish of my day every day, right? So 20 minutes a day over the course of a year, what is that? 365 times 20? That's a lot. So it's important that we keep it simple, keep it fast, and keep it short. So that's a very important thing. So all that being said, that's the process by which I make these shorts. Those are the pros and cons of being a YouTuber over 40. If you have any questions about that, I'd love to talk with you more about it. Leave me a comment. So for now, though, I just want you to know that if I can do it, you can do it too. I'm just an average guy. An average guy who can't figure out how to stop this live.